They didn't want to go closer. Something felt wrong. Not danger, not storm, something deeper, like the ocean itself was warning them. But greed, curiosity, and human stupidity always win. So they approached. Slowly, carefully. The ship didn't move. No crew waving for help. No sound of footsteps. No voice calling out. Just wood creaking softly, like it was breathing. One man whispered, "Maybe they're asleep." Another said nothing. Because deep down, they already knew this wasn't normal. They boarded anyway. Boots hitting the deck with a hollow echo. Too hollow. The kind of sound an empty place makes. The kind of sound that tells you you're not supposed to be there. The deck was clean. Too clean. No signs of battle. No broken ropes. No blood. Nothing. And that was the first thing that terrified them. Because when men disappear at sea, there is always a mess, always chaos, always something left behind. But here, it looked untouched, like the crew had simply stopped existing. They moved deeper into the ship, slow steps, each one heavier than the last. Cabins open, beds unmade. Food still sitting on wooden plates, half-eaten, rotting, left exactly where it was, as if the men had been interrupted in the middle of living. One sailor picked up a cup, still stained with rum. His hands started shaking. He didn't know why. He just knew something here wasn't right. Then they found the first sign. A chair. Knocked over, not violently, not like a fight, just slightly out of place, like someone stood up too quickly, like someone saw something and didn't have time to react. "Where are they?" someone whispered. No one answered. Because the question didn't make sense anymore. It wasn't where they went. It was how they vanished. They checked the captain's quarters. Door half open, swinging slowly, back and forth, back and forth. The sound was unbearable. Inside, the captain's log. Still there, still open. The last entry wasn't long. Just a few lines, written in uneven handwriting, like the man was shaking, like something was watching him as he wrote it. Something is wrong. Men are hearing things at night, voices calling from the water. We will not sail this route again. That was it. No explanation, no ending, no final note, just fear, frozen on paper. One of the sailors laughed, nervously. "They went mad," he said. "Probably killed each other, jumped overboard." He kept talking, trying to make sense of it, trying to make it normal. Because the human brain hates the unknown, it would rather believe a lie than face something it can't understand. But then, they heard it. A sound, faint, distant, almost like wind, but not quite. They froze, every single one of them. It came again, longer this time, clearer, a scream, not from the ship, not from the sea around them, but from somewhere below. No one moved, no one spoke, because that sound was not natural. It wasn't just fear, it was pain, real pain, the kind that tears through your chest, the kind that only comes from something alive. "Did you hear that?" one whispered. No answer, because they all did. Another scream, closer now, louder, and then multiple voices, crying, begging, screaming all at once, coming from beneath the deck. One man stepped back. "I'm leaving." Another grabbed his arm. No, wait, but his voice was shaking, because even he didn't believe his own words. The screams didn't stop. They grew louder, more desperate, more human. "Help us." The words were clear this time, too clear. And that's when something inside them broke. Because whatever was down there, it wasn't an echo. It wasn't imagination. It was speaking. They didn't want to go down. Every instinct screamed at them to run, to leave, to never look back. But fear does something strange to humans. Sometimes it doesn't make you run, it makes you look. So they opened the hatch slowly, carefully. Darkness, thick, heavy, unnatural, and the smell hit them instantly. Rot, salt, something worse, something they couldn't name. The scream stopped, just like that. Silence. One of them whispered, "Maybe it's over." Another said, "No," because he felt it, that presence, that thing in the dark, waiting. They lit a lantern. The light barely pushed back the darkness, and then they stepped down. Each step creaked, loud, echoing, like the ship was announcing their arrival. Step, step, step. And then they saw it. Not bodies, not bones, something worse. Marks. Deep scratches carved into the wood, all over the walls, all over the floor, like something had been dragged, or like something had tried to get out. The lantern shook in the sailor's hand, light flickering widely, and then they saw the ropes. Dozens of them. Cut, snapped, torn apart. Whatever had happened here, it wasn't calm, it wasn't peaceful, it was violent, desperate. And yet, there were no bodies, just the marks. And then, from the darkness behind them, a whisper. "Why did you come?" Not loud, not a scream, but close, too close, right behind them. They turned instantly, lantern swinging, light cutting through the darkness. Nothing, no one. But the air felt heavier now, thicker, like it was watching them. Another whisper. "Leave." And this time, they didn't hesitate. They ran, up the stairs, across the deck, jumping back onto their own ship. No one spoke. No one looked back. Because deep down, they knew that ship was not empty, and whatever had taken that crew was still there, waiting. And that was the last time anyone boarded it. But the story didn't end there, because weeks later, another ship passed through the same waters. They didn't see the vessel, not at first, but they heard something. At night, soft, distant, screaming, coming from the fog. The exact same voices, begging, crying, "Help US." And when they followed the sound, they saw it, the same ship, still floating, still waiting, like nothing had changed, like time itself refused to touch it. And that's when the rumors began. Sailors started avoiding that route, not because of storms, not because of pirates, but because of something worse. Something they couldn't fight, couldn't see, couldn't understand. They called it a cursed ship, a ghost vessel, a warning. But the truth was far more disturbing, because some sailors claimed the voices didn't sound dead. They sounded alive, like they were trapped, like they were still there, somewhere inside that ship, screaming forever. Weeks passed. But the ocean didn't forget. It never does. Sailors talk, even when they're afraid, especially when they're afraid. And the story spread from port to port, from drunken whispers in taverns to quiet warnings between captains. Don't sail that route, don't follow the voices, and whatever you do, don't board that ship. Most listened. Fear is a powerful teacher, but not everyone, because there's always someone who thinks the story is exaggerated, who believes fear is weakness, who thinks they're different. That man was Captain Elias Vaughan. He wasn't reckless, he was worse. He was certain. A man who had spent his life at sea, a man who had seen storms tear ships apart, watched men drown, watched pirates butcher entire crews, and survived all of it. So when he heard the story, he didn't feel fear, he felt curiosity. Voices? He said. Ghosts don't scream for help. That was his first mistake. He believed fear had rules. He gathered his crew, strong men, experienced, not easily shaken, and he told them the plan. We find the ship, we board it, and we prove once and for all that it's nothing. Some hesitated. They had heard the stories, the screams, but no one refused, because fear of the unknown is nothing compared to fear of a man like Vaughan. So they sailed. Days passed. Nothing. Just endless ocean, until the fog came, thick, Cold, unnatural, it swallowed the horizon, erased the sky, and with it came the sound, at first faint, like something carried on the wind. Then clearer, a voice, "Help!" The crew froze. Another voice joined, then another, then dozens, all at once, screaming, begging, crying, not distant anymore, not far away, right there, around them. Some men covered their ears. Others dropped to their knees, but Captain Vaughan, he smiled. "There it is," he whispered, like he had been waiting for it. And then, through the fog, they saw it. The ship, unchanged, untouched, waiting, just like before. "Prepare to board," Vaughan ordered. No one moved. I said move. Fear pushed them forward. They approached, closer, closer. The screams grew louder, more desperate. "Don't leave, US, please. We're still here." One sailor broke. "I'm not going," he said. Vaughan didn't argue. He shot him. The sound echoed across the water, then silence. "Anyone else?" Vaughan asked calmly. No one spoke. They boarded. The same hollow sound, boots against wood. The same stillness, the same wrongness. But this time, it felt different, heavier, like the ship knew they had come back. The crew moved slower than before, more cautious, more afraid. But Vaughan walked like he owned the place. He went straight for the lower deck, ignoring the cabins, ignoring the signs. Because he didn't care about the past, he wanted the truth. The hatch was already open. That wasn't how it was described, and that was the second mistake. He didn't notice the change. "Down," he said, no hesitation. They followed. Darkness again, but deeper this time. The smell, worse. Much worse. Like something had been rotting for a very long time. And yet, still alive. The scream started again, not from far away, from right in front of them. "Help US!" The lantern light shook violently. And then they saw them, shapes, moving in the darkness. At first, it didn't make sense. Human, but wrong. Figures pressed against the walls, half visible, half not, like they were stuck, like they were trying to come through. Faces twisted in agony, mouths open, screaming endlessly, but their bodies merged, fused into the wood. The ship wasn't empty. It was full. Every missing crew member was still there, not alive, not dead, trapped. One sailor dropped the lantern. The light spun across the floor, revealing more. Hands reaching out from the walls, fingers clawing, eyes blinking inside the wood itself. "What is this?" someone screamed. And then the truth answered. The ship moved, not the waves, not the wind, the ship itself. A slow, deep breath. The wood creaked, groaned, like something inside it was waking up. And then the voices changed. They weren't begging anymore. They were warning. "Run, leave, before it takes you too." But it was too late. One of the sailors screamed. They turned and saw him being pulled, not by hands, not by ropes, by the floor itself. The wood wrapped around his legs, soft at first, then tightening, like flesh. He clawed at the surface, screaming, begging. But the ship didn't care. It pulled him in, slowly, piece by piece, until he was gone. And then his face appeared in the wall, screaming, still alive, still feeling everything. That's when Vaughan finally understood. This wasn't a haunted ship. This was something else, something feeding. Something that didn't kill. Something that kept you. Forever. The crew broke, running, screaming, climbing over each other to escape. The ship responded. The walls moved. The floor shifted. More hands, more faces, grabbing, pulling. "Join US." The voices weren't separate anymore. They were one, a chorus of suffering. Vaughan ran too. For the first time, fear reached him, but the ship had already chosen. The hatch slammed shut. Darkness swallowed everything, and the screaming became unbearable. From outside, the ocean went silent again. The fog lifted, and the ship drifted. as if nothing had happened. But now there were more voices, more screams, and if you listen closely, you can still hear them, not just begging, not just crying, but warning you, because that ship, it's not lost, it's not drifting, it's hunting, and every man who hears it is already too close. They try to map the place, mark it, avoid it, but the ocean doesn't obey maps. Ships that swore they stayed miles away still heard the voices. Some never saw the vessel, they only heard it. At night, soft at first, then closer, help us, and that was enough. Because the real horror was never the ship, it was the sound, the way it pulled you, not with force, but with something far more dangerous, curiosity and guilt. Because every man who heard those voices felt the same thing. I could save them. That thought, that one simple thought, destroyed them. They changed course, turned their ships, sailed straight into the fog, and they never came back. No wreckage, no bodies, just more voices, added to the chorus. Years passed, then decades. The story should have died. But it didn't, because sometimes the ship didn't wait to be found. Sometimes it came to you. There are records, hidden ones, buried deep in old naval logs. Ships docking with missing men. Not all of them, just a few. 1. 2, sometimes 5. No struggle, no noise, just gone, and the men who remained refused to speak at first. Until the nights came, because that's when it started, the whispering, inside the ship, not outside, inside, from the walls, from the floor, from the wood itself. Why did you leave us? Come back, finish it. Sleep became impossible. Sanity followed. One by one, they broke. Some jumped overboard. Some clawed at the wood, trying to tear it apart, trying to get them out, trying to silence the voices. But the more they tried, the louder it became, until finally, they understood. It wasn't following them, it was inside their ship. Because once you hear it, you don't leave the ship. The ship leaves with you. Not the wood, not the sails, but something else. Something that doesn't need water, doesn't need form. Something that spreads, like a disease, like a memory, like guilt. And that's when the oldest theory emerged, not from sailors, but from a man who studied fear itself, a man who never stepped on a ship, and yet understood it better than anyone. He wrote, "The vessel is not a place, it is a condition, a prison built not from wood, but from perception. No one is taken, they are kept, suspended between leaving and staying, between life and ending, and the screams are not for help, they are echoes of realization. The moment a man understands, he will never escape." People laughed at that. Until the disappearances spread inland, yes, away from the ocean, miles from water. Men waking up at night, hearing waves, hearing wood creaking, hearing voices. Help us. Inside their own homes, inside their heads. And then they vanished. No ships, no sea, just gone. As if distance meant nothing, that's when the truth finally surfaced. Not fully, but enough. The ship was never a ship, it was a doorway. And once you see it, hear it, acknowledge it, you step halfway through. And halfway is all it needs, because you don't have to board it, to be taken by it, you just have to believe it's real. And now, you've heard it, you've imagined it, you've followed the story step by step, deeper, closer, and maybe, right now, you feel it too, that quiet thought. What if it's real? That's how it begins. Not with the ocean, not with the ship, but with you. Because the final truth, the one no sailor survived to tell, is this: the screams never come from the ship, they come from the moment you realize you're already on it. And there is no waking up, No escape, no shore, just endless drifting. And the sound of voices, joining yours, one by one, forever.